Hi there, my name is Stephen Hale. I am with Schlafly Beer, also known as the St. Louis Brewery from St. Louis, Missouri. I have been with the company since a couple months before we opened in Christmas '91, so I'm marking over 22 years now with the company. The original business plan was formed prior to 1989 when Tom Schlafly and Dan Kopman, the original founding partners in the business, incorporated in '89. We opened in '91. They were they were convinced that the best building to put a brewery and restaurant into is the one we're in now, the Swift Printing Company, which Snake Plissken walked past in Escape from New York in the late '70s, early '80s. A little bit of history there. It was a kind of desolate part of downtown. A lot of people were naysayers. They were believers. They had a good support team of believers in moving into that building and put in a brewery, put in a restaurant, slightly larger restaurant than they expected at first, and we were off and running, and the crowds didn't stop coming. Just under 2 years after we opened, we started selling beer to the local market, got a few draft accounts, and 10 years later, 12 years after we opened the Bottleworks. So we pulled bottle production from contract to do it ourselves, and the Bottleworks is now at about 50,000 barrels a year. Company-wide, we're pushing into the mid-60s, 65,000 barrels a year, roughly, for 2014. And the beers we get to choose that make it into bottle, can, or distribution, as I mentioned, it's partly market-driven. What does the market want to see? What do favorite customers see as their favorite beers and persuade us to make another great beer in the market? So for the course of the year, we will get close to 80 different beers. If you line them all up on a table, you'll see the great color spectrum of beer from very light to very dark and a lot in between, and some are clear and some are hazy, and about 20-something are in bottle and can, and a lot more in draft. We have a lot of fun with it. We don't say no to anything. Some things don't make it, some things aren't repeated. So that's how the portfolio keeps expanding when they're popular, and they aren't always a runaway hit, but we hope they are most of the time. Right now, we want to give the market what the customers want, and that's important to us, it's important to them, and it's fun to do too. So we like a broad portfolio. It's good to have variety. From Pilsner that was retired, there's one that is no longer being bottled, but it is still being brewed in draft. Kolsch is available in bottle. Hefeweizen, we do have several lighter colored beers on up through the big imperial stouts and a range of imperial stouts too. So if it doesn't sell, it's partly a numbers game. If it doesn't sell and justify the numbers, it might have to take a vacation. If something's a runaway hit, we do everything we can to make as much of it as possible.